बच्चे की बुकिंग की है। ये सूचना भी आपको NHS ENI की तरफ से दी जाती है। अधिक जानकारी के लिए कम्युनिटी मिडवाइफ या GP से संपर्क करें।
For the community, by the community. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Good morning, listeners.
Good morning, Ammar.
Hey, how are you doing?
How's things?
Good, thank you. It's Friday, the 29th of January.
Where's January gone?
And I'm seeing my great friend, Jalf.
Good to see you. Haven't seen you all week.
Crazy, I haven't heard from you. Did you not have any problems this week?
No, I think it's been a unproblematic week, I guess.
Right. So anyway, let's kick off. We've got Phil jumping on from Gas in a minute, just talking about what they're doing and things like that. But let's kick off. Good morning, listeners. You're listening to Ammar and
Jalf.
Live on our weekly show.
And each week we'll bring you some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
And we'll be talking shop quite literally, and not just corner shops. Whether you're looking to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We can help. And as I say, we've got Phil Andrew coming on from Great Annual Savings, and Adam Brown as well, just to talk about what they're doing in the community, what they're doing to support businesses, and how they can help people more broadly. As a key strategic partner of Asian Business Connections, I think it's important that we get people on. But certainly for the next few minutes, Jalf, as we're starting to include this show into the ABC weekly newsletters, I think it's particularly important that we give people a flavour of the work and the activities that sort of are going on generally, but also to give people insights on what our business is experiencing from the cold face. So, Jalf, how was business?
January has been awful for hospitality all over, as far as I understand. Speaking to a number of friends in the industry, I think it's been a shocker. January, it's quite a troublesome market in that, is January going to be January as it's always been, or was this January going to be different? But in fact, it's mapped out the way that it normally does, and January is usually very, very quiet. But to counteract that, we as an operator who never do any offers, we usually used to do something for 20 days in January, the first 20 days. And because we didn't get our marketing in place quickly enough, because we thought that we would possibly open as a restaurant from the 16th of December or the 2nd of December and this, that, and the other, that was an issue. Restaurant Anyone, the big organization that look after the whole of the city centre, not just hospitality but retail, trying to encourage more people coming to Anyone, they would have a restaurant week, which is very, very famous. It's been going on for a decade now, and that used to bring everybody out into the city. And again, obviously, that didn't happen. Nothing replaced it. And that was always in January, in the third week, to try and kind of push January, the January blues that usually most people have. It's just to kind of counteract that. So that didn't happen as well. So overall, January has been awful for hospitality. Absolutely awful.
Oh, what a shame. But actually, it is, but it's equally the challenge being that not only is it a January, as you've suggested, but it's a January of such levels of uncertainty that we seem to have gone sort of one step forward and almost sort of 10, 20 back.
Yeah. I think, Ammar, it's also down to the lockdown announced, obviously, in January, but it's the nature of the lockdown that was announced in terms of the government have made it out to be, stay at home, don't come out, and for me, there's been a lot of scaremongering, because when you see the street tomorrow, and I'm speaking from across the board, the city centre, there's a lot of people. There's a hell of a lot of people out on the city centre, especially on a Sunday in the daytime. All the families are out. You wouldn't notice it to being any different on a Sunday. So, but because there's that scaremongering going on, and there's all the signs on the motorways, let's say that you want to leave Ponteland and you want to come into the city centre to collect a takeaway, for example. There's so many signs that you're going to face. Oh, stay at home, only travel if it's an emergency. I think it's really making people are still nervous. I think that those nerves will probably last for a few weeks, and maybe they may become less nervous to travel out and about to go and get your essentials. So I think that's got something to do with it as well.
I think it's about getting that balance right as well, Jalf. But you're right.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's invite our guests, and we'll pick up on this conversation because it's really important. Let's invite our guests in and get their perspective, because actually they're talking to so many businesses and providing so much support right now. So good morning, Phil. Good morning.
Good morning.
Adam.
Morning, Ammar. Morning, Joe.
Good morning, Adam. Good morning, Phil.
Are you all right?
Yes, good.
Excellent.
Thanks for joining us this morning. We were conscious of two things, and the reason why we wanted to do this was, well, one, their great annual savings as a critical strategic partner of Asian Business Connections, and two, and more specifically, just to get some insights on what is it that you're doing, how are you doing it, what type of things are different, and what type of things should people be considering, from a sort of service provider point of view as well. So, Phil, let's kick off with you. Let's say who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Why I do it. First of all, morning, guys. Hope everyone is well. So I'm Phil Andrew. I'm the corporate director here at Great Annual Savings in Seaham. We're a cost reduction specialist. So we have a customer base up and down the entire country, and a really good foothold in the northeast as well. Why do I do it? I've been with the business now for 6 years, and I'd come from a background of PLCs before that, mainly in financial services. So coming into a smaller business, as it was at the time, there was only 40 people in when I joined, and probably less than that when Adam joined as well. It was a huge challenge, but a great one. Business was really sold to me by the founder and chairman, Brad Groves, and since then we've really grown from strength to strength. So at the minute, it's a challenging environment for every business, and you touched on it at the start, really, Ammar. I think it's there is so much uncertainty currently. Where we really want to play is how can we help businesses, in not just in helping them reduce costs and or reduce their energy bills and things like that. It's a bigger piece than that. How can we link businesses together? How can we offer them support? How can we use our customer base for good by linking people up? We've got a great CSR program as well, where we look to not just support local charities, because that's an easy thing to do and an easy thing to say, but how do we become useful in the local community as well? How are we seen as that hub? And I'm sure Adam will talk a little bit more about that, because I think I joined just before Christmas, it might have been, and I think that I mentioned then there was some other news that I was sworn to secrecy on, which probably Adam will touch on a little bit further, about a potential foundation that we're looking to launch as well. And not only that, again, in the local area and the local community, we want to work in certain areas. And this comes outside of just gas as well. What we want to do is work with, and we're currently working with a number of academies where we're looking to offer business help and support to their students. And we are also looking at launching a big apprenticeship program as well in this next quarter, At the minute, we're predominantly working with East Durham College on that as well. So we've really diversified away from being seen as, probably in the early days, an energy broker, which has its own challenges, into something where we can offer that wider support network, that wider business support, and then coming into the local community, how can we benefit those people and those organisations as well? So yeah, I think we're growing quite nicely at the minute. We've got just short of 300 people, but some of the challenges are, particularly in this environment, with people either working from home. We've got a number of people that operate in the field up and down the UK, and that's a really hard role to be in currently as well. So we're looking to support our staff wherever we possibly can through a wellbeing programme. We've, funny enough, just come off a podcast, which we've just had a famous celebrity on doing something for us on that as well. And that'll go out to our staff to again, just to help raise spirits and to show people that we're thinking of them and looking after them through this period.
What did you Jeff on, Phil? Was it Jeff?
It wasn't Jeff, unfortunately. We'll get Jeff on the next one, I think, Ammar.
I think Ammar's a celebrity, not me. But
Oh, really? as we say that in tongue in cheek. Adam, good morning. How are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Yeah. Adam Brown, I'm the Group Marketing Manager for Great Annual Savings. The group part is the important part of that job title, I think, because as well as doing the marketing for Great Annual Savings, I also do it for Spennymoor Town, who our owner also owns the football club, which is a really enjoyable part of my job. And I live kind of a dual life and a split personality between business savings and football. So that's really enjoyable and something I enjoy. Why do I do it? My background was in sports journalism, so that's why I was happy to kind of take on the second part of the job. And then I went into a career in the public sector with Gen 2 Group in Sunderland, a social organisation, and I took on the kind of marketing elements and communication elements in there. And kind of 10 years later, here I am. Similar to Phil, I joined probably a couple of months before Phil at Great Annual Savings about 6 years ago, and there was 35 people here then. There's 10 times that now, so that's great to see. And I think over the last 12 months, it's been a really good year for the marketing team at Great Annual Savings. We've had several big brand moments for the group, the biggest of which is probably becoming Sunderland's front of shirt sponsor, and that gave us huge exposure that we haven't had before. But a key focus that the chief exec Brad picked up during the last year, obviously the pandemic, it was massively spurred on by the pandemic, is that as a larger organisation, as we grow in size and grow in influence, specifically in the Northeast, what are we doing responsibility wise? Where do we sit? Where do we fit with all of this? And as we become a business leader, as a business, how can we then deliver good, deliver change, deliver an impact? Like, as Phil mentioned before, it's one thing getting your staff to donate to charity, which we've always done. It's a different thing then to actually, as an organisation, impact physical change and social change. And that's a big step that we'll be taking in 2021. We've now put a number of key partnerships in place with schools, education, other charities, and politics within the region as well, across County Durham and Sunderland, and it's expanding further than that as well, potentially to Newcastle and further afield. We're building partnerships and structure in all of these places, in low income areas mainly, where we're going to deliver programs that can deliver social change and impact the areas. And that this is going to be a really big part of my job going forward, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to be starting a foundation. Now, it doesn't have a name yet. Hopefully that comes very soon. But we've got the structure now, and what we're looking to do is help people improve communities and create opportunities. That's really the crux of what we're trying to do. So whether that's employment, entrepreneurialism, fitness and health, well-being, all of these areas, and we're going to deliver these areas across some programs in selected parts of the Northeast that we feel we can make a difference in.
Amazing. Look, we've probably been involved with each other for quite some time. I'm just getting a bit of feedback actually, but we've been involved with each other for quite some time. and it's from a relatively smaller organisation to you growing to where you're at now, to realising that you are within the fabric of the Northeast in every sense. And it's fantastic to see. I'm sure Jalf, regardless of the fact that you're on the front of Sunderland's kit, which I think, look, from a marketing point of view, is fantastic, right? And the one thing that we do have in the Northeast, whether it's red or whether it's red and white or black and white, right? You have that passion, you have that sort of enthusiasm, and that connects people more than the colour. So Jalf's been an avid, devoted black and white for forever, and equally, I must admit, that's where I side myself, but without getting into politics, religion, or football, as they say, you should never do. I think it's great that you've done that. But why did you do it?
I think the football thing specifically, it was a developing partnership, and obviously Great Annual Savings obviously also has partnerships with yourself and a number of other organisations around the Northeast Ammar, but it was kind of a reciprocal thing. So Sunderland, we won a tender to become one of Sunderland's suppliers for their energy, amongst other services, and kind of as that partnership developed and they showed faith in us, I think they felt comfortable asking us to be more involved in the club in other areas of it. And it's really a good case study, I think, of a working relationship between two businesses, which is really important more than ever in the world we're living in now. I think as time went on, we got more involved with Sunderland's Foundation of Light, and we're doing the same with a number of other sports clubs and a number of other organisations outside of sport as well. And then as time went on, they renewed their contract with us, and we got closer and closer, and it got to a point where we were doing so much work with Sunderland and spending so much time with them that they wanted to kind of show that, and we were completely on board, and pretty easily in the end the deal was thrashed out for us to become the principal partner. But I think that's just one example of a number of partnerships we've grown in similar ways across the Northeast, certainly, but also elsewhere in the country as well. And we want to have more of these partnerships where it's brilliant reciprocally for everyone, for both sides. And I think Phil, to his credit, has been a big part of that in the corporate division of Great Annual Savings, where we've used on that type of building that type of relationship, and we've probably got upwards of 50 of them now, and hopefully there's many more to come as well. And they're great. It's great to be a part of, because you get to meet different people, you get to experience different events, cultures, and it's really enriching, I think, for the staff at Great Annual Savings who are involved in these partnerships.
And you're absolutely right, Adam, because the reason why I picked out Sunderland, because it's a headline, right? Yeah. But in effect, the relationship that we've developed. So Jalf and I, Asian Business Connections, not-for-profit, social enterprise. Of course, it's in every business's interest to reduce costs. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you go out and secure the best deal for all of your utilities, your services, and whatever else? But actually, equally, we're quite precious as to who we sort of collaborate with, who we partner with, who we do things together with, and it was just interesting that that in effect the relationship that we've developed has been far more meaningful in that it's been about championing diversity. It's been about championing sort of inclusion. It's been about bringing communities together, and that really leads on to and into the whole foundation piece, doesn't it? Definitely.
I think we're learning more about the communities we're working in as we get more customers there and we build more partnerships there. And definitely the pandemic has played a big part in driving us to try and do more on this side of things. We've always raised cash through our partners and our staff and our colleagues for charities. But this feels a bit different this year. I feel as though we've been really spurred into action, and we want to deliver it ourselves. We don't want to raise some cash and then go, there you go, see how much, see what you can do with that, see what you can deliver with that. We want to measure it ourselves and delve deeper. We also think it's a better way of getting better buy-in as well from our staff, that this is going to be really something that they are driving themselves and involved in on the ground, and getting rolling their sleeves up and getting mucked in themselves. And we think it's something they can own and something they can be proud of. But yeah, as you say, the more work you do in a community, I absolutely believe, and the leadership at Great Annual Savings, including Phil, absolutely believe that the more you do, it's your duty to look after that community and make sure that the impact your organisation's having is a positive one overall.
I think it's just so poignant, especially in this climate, with this pandemic, that a company like yourselves have taken that position. And I think there's a genuine need for organisations who are local but are growing as quickly as what you are, that you do take that responsibility. Because sometimes as a person myself, and Ammar and myself, you know, for many years, we've understood the importance of helping the community. But what I've felt, and I genuinely feel, that the bigger organization, the big corporates in the world, I just feel that they're not doing as much as what they should do. And they have this greed culture, and that's really saddens me, because they've got so much money that they could help solve so many community problems. And for yourselves to take that position, it's very poignant, and I think it's so important, and I'm just really happy to see that you are doing that. So
cheers, Jeff.
Thank you.
Great. And then I suppose the final bit that we wanted to touch upon, you know, because Jeff raises an amazing point, right? There are so many corporates that exist, of multinationals that exist, you know, not just in the Northeast, but across the UK. And they might do a tick box type of thing, you know, we need to do some corporate social responsibility. Let's raise a charity thing, or let's do a bit of stuff. You know, we'll have this day or that day. But what you're doing is truly embedding that commitment, you know, through creating not just the structure and the infrastructure, but that roadmap for everybody to get involved as well. So not only is the foundation, you know, the Great Annual Savings, or whatever you're going to call it, you know, Great Northeast, or whatever, you know, is what it is. It allows a clear demonstration for other corporates to follow if they haven't done so. But B, you know, two, the fact that it allows other organisations to actually work with you in a collaborative model, doesn't it? So that they don't need to do it by themselves. They can come through the foundation, and they can, you know, generate and improve opportunities and increase and enhance communities. You know, I think that's laudable. It's fantastic. So
yeah.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think in the early days, we were probably in danger of it being a ticky box exercise going back to when we first started, because we didn't know any different. And we've always been good at raising the money. That wasn't the issue. We've got 100% take up from staff on give as you earn. But as you quite rightly say, Ammar, needs to be deeper than that, needs to be part of your DNA as an organisation. I think that's the development we've taken, particularly over the last couple of years with Adam's leadership in that area. And this is the next stage of that development. So yeah, it's quite exciting. And both the businesses and the partners that we've got on board to support that, it will make a real tangible difference to the communities in which we work.
Fantastic.
So,
and I suppose just a couple of final things, just to sort of fit all of the, you know, yes, the community's feeling what it's feeling, but businesses in particular,
yeah,
who are your clients, so to speak, are really struggling right now, as we all are. And part of that challenge is business, the level of uncertainty. So you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what to plan for. You don't know what to predict. And as Jalf and I were talking about, there was an expectation that January might be distinctly different to a different type of January. That hasn't materialized. If anything, it's been worse. So I know that part of the things that we're now exploring is giving businesses and organizations, so this is not-for-profits and charities as well, so to come together, a framework where they can come together and in a small group, 8 to 11 people, sort of work together on identifying what the challenges are, what are the opportunities, and almost creating it's a peer network, because the most important thing right now is to get your head out of the sand, sit together, learn from one another, realize that you're not in it alone, but use the collective power of people in an environment where it's facilitated, it's trusted, it's safe, it's secure, and you can talk about the things that are really keeping you awake, and then start looking at the things that you dream about and develop a plan. And it's fantastic that you're sort of you're championing that, aren't you?
Absolutely. I think it's key. It's now more so than ever that people pull together and they get the right advice. They can learn from each other. When you think some people go into business not because they're actually good at business, they could be creative, they're good at making things, and the business becomes something else as a result of them being that thing at the start. So they don't necessarily know what to do, who to look to for support. There's great networks out there for people to get involved in. So I think the peer networks that you're talking about them are absolutely key. One, to make sure people can navigate the next few months, but then come out stronger as well. And you're right, I think pulling your head out of the sand so you don't feel as though you're in that alone, and that the businesses, particularly in the Northeast, have been really good at working together. How do we make that network even stronger? So yeah, there's competition elsewhere, but yeah, at times like this, let's forget the tribalism, let's pull together and make sure that people really, really work hard to supporting each other. And we've touched on probably two areas. You mentioned football there. It's sort of that tribalism goes out the windows, doesn't it? In the Northeast, when it's down to the nuts and bolts, people do pull together. And the same with the foundation. It's a similar thing that we're looking at there. When people need to pull together, normally, particularly in this region, they do that. And I think the peer-to-peer network stuff is another example of that, getting a group of people together, supporting each other, and come out the other side of this much, much stronger.
Amazing. Phil, Adam, anything that you'd like to share with anybody before we let you go?
Stay positive, I think, is the one thing I certainly picked up from the podcast we recorded earlier with the secret celebrity. I'd definitely say stay positive. Let's keep moving forward is the main one for me, I think.
Great stuff. Phil?
Absolutely. We will get through it. We know that. It's going to take time. We're nearly there, and we will get through it. The more people can, I'm going to use your words here, more that collaboration piece, that for me is absolutely key and fundamental. People pulling together to get through the next few months, and we'll come out the other side stronger, I'm sure.
And thank you ever so much. And equally, people don't need to do this alone. Reach out to the experts. So if you're struggling with cost reduction, overheads, want someone to have a chat around energy efficiency, planning ahead, all of those things, then the single point of contact, the single point for me in this from every aspect, both from a social, a caring, and genuinely customer-centered approach. Well, they need to reach out to Great Annual Savings, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. We're there for anybody. Our website's there, phone numbers are there. Please just give us a ring or get in contact with me directly through LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to hear from people.
Great stuff. Phil, Adam, thank you ever so much.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks,
okay.
Good to see you.
All the best.
Cheers. We'll get you those shirts in the post, Jaff.
Signed one, obviously. To Jaff, our #1 fan.
See you guys. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's it's interesting, isn't it?
I think that I was quite taken back the way that the position that they've taken, and the fact that they've identified that it's just not a ticky box. It's not just the foundation. We want to go more than that, and we want to go deeper than that. And I think that's really the way forward, Ammar. And I think it's such a great thing to see in this climate, because you just don't see enough of that. And like you say, a lot of it is just ticky box. And they've identified that we don't want to be ticky box. We want to be something a lot more real, a lot more serious, and make a real difference. You have to take your hat off to them.
Well, I think without a doubt, and recognizing that it's about community,
Mhm.
and it's about the people. So, you know, the key thing that I've always advocated and promoted, Jeff, is quite simply that if you put people first and if you add value, right? So if you can give value in whatever you do, and in particular in business, if you can give value and people get value, you will get value in return. So people value, and I know that sounds a bit odd and a matter of fact type statement, but it is all about value. Whether you feel value, whether you feel as if you're getting value, you know, whether that it's been a valuable experience. You know, certainly over the last 3-4 years, when I've helped organisations start, survive, and thrive, the one thing that has set those organisations that have sustained apart is the value. So let's just take your, you know, Kai, innovative in every sense, you know, forward thinking, but it's an invaluable experience, and the value that people get from that experience is distinctly different, right? So whether that's when they engage with you, whether they connect with you, when they have the food, it just illustrates and illuminates the value that you bring. And value, you know, is all about that. That's what makes an effective business model. Is,
Of course,
you know,
and value doesn't mean cheap.
no.
Value
Don't
means
mistake value with cheap. When you value something, it's not because it's cheap. In fact, it's the opposite.
yeah.
Because the likelihood is if something is, if you, in your mindset, if something feels and acts and is cheap, that's the value that it brings.
Mm.
So this isn't, value isn't about price.
No.
Value is about the impact and the experience. So
It's the worth. It's you feeling that, yeah, this is worth this, or it's I've got something beyond what or beyond what I guess, beyond what the worth of it was in my initial instinct. So it is really, really important, and especially in this climate, everyone is seeking value, and as everyone is seeking a real valuable experience, because you need it more than any time ever before, because we're going through such difficult times that the value element of business has become so poignant.
oh, without a doubt. And you know what we've managed to do and illustrate, Jack, is if you look at, right, so matter of fact, energy brokers, I imagine lots of business organizations, certainly over the last few years, have had some really poor experiences, right? As in with energy brokers.
Yep.
I don't doubt that. And in fact, so many energy brokers have gone to the wall and left their customers high and dry almost as well. But it still remains a matter of fact that there is a place and a space for energy brokers and a need for it. And what you need to do, you know, so if you are an energy broker, what you need to do is add far more value than the perceived value that people will get by you simply getting them the best deal. And if you think about it, you know, one thing that Great Annual Savings have done is demonstrated that by action and impact. And it's just, you know, a case of they've sort of grown and grown. Look, I mean, I remember when they had sort of 20, 30 staff.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. They've grown so exponentially. Is that the right word?
Exponentially. But anyway,
In such a small period, such a small time.
They're growing fast, is probably the easier thing to say. And look, they're always committed to support. They've supported Asian business connections over the years, but that support hasn't purely been, here's some money and things like that. It's they've supported the partners, they've supported the process, you know, they've supported from a technical point of view, things like that. So it's good to see that.
Absolutely.
Anyway, deep breath, and sadly, let's get back to life. Let's get back to normality. Let's get back to the future. So, where are we at, COVID-wise, Jack? What's the on the streets?
Obviously, I mean, look, we don't really listen to the media anymore because everything is COVID, everything is depressing, and at the end of the day, we all have a responsibility, like Adam and Phil said, that we need to have a positive frame of mind. And I think if you listen to media, I can't understand still why the media every single day is just doom and gloom and doom and gloom. So for myself, I like to keep away from that. I guess I come across the big headline news that's out there. And again, I take all of that with a pinch of salt as well. So recently, the news that 100,000 people have died, and Boris turns around and says that there's nothing that I could have done about it. I'm deeply sorry. Well, I would turn around and say, Boris, there's so much that you could have done about it. But either way, that's another discussion. So there is a lot of doom and gloom. I guess where we are is it's this vaccination rollout is starting to take force, and I guess that in the eyes of the government is the most critical thing to get most of the population vaccinated as possible, and then we think that there might be some kind of normality after that. And I think that's going to be a process. I don't think it's going to be the dates of March and February, and I think, especially for those in hospitality, I wouldn't think anything before September. And I think that's the way to look at it, because if you have a hope that your businesses are going to reopen before then, that false hope is going to cause you more damage. I would just keep your head down, focus on what you can do. If you're a restaurant and you can do takeaways, then do that. And if there's anything that happens before then, at least then, you know, you can adapt your business. But I would look at it from that perspective. And I personally suffered by not looking at it like that and thinking, oh yeah, oh my God, they're going to make an announcement in December. Oh my God, yeah, we're going to be able to reopen again. And that just really, it's really bad from a strategic point of view, because you're not planning. You're just waiting you're hoping for news, and hope, unfortunately, it's so damaging for business when you can't have a clear strategy for a short to medium term. And I would suggest that all businesses, make your own judgments and don't have the hope and do it without hope, because I think you'll be in a better position.
I absolutely agree. And the one thing that every single business should be doing, Jap, and every organization should be doing, is reviewing regularly where they're at. And that advice and support that we'd offered almost a year ago, but I've just rewritten and updated an article which is Back to the Future 2. So last year I wrote an article on Back to the Future, what people and organizations should be doing. So refresh, review, reboot, with the 3 suggestions. And the big areas that we were looking at, and this was May time last year, and it was interesting because we were almost coming out of that formal lockdown, and it was a case of, well, you need to restore confidence, consumer confidence, in that if they come through your door and they need to feel safe, secure, the environment and all of those things. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's almost an expectation that that's the norm now. So, people almost expect everybody to be keeping their distance, everybody be doing. So as a habit, as a community, as a society, we've almost moved on. And I looked at, and actually I'll share some of the detail, although I don't want to give away too much because it's a fabulous article, clearly, because I've written it. But what I've done was I illustrated, and one of the things I can do, I can actually, I can share this live. So I could almost share the article. Anyway, the point is this: businesses still need to and have to make sure that cash flow is stable. And as we come to the period of C-bills and bounce back loans, in a couple of months' time, businesses are going to start having to pay these back, Jeff. Right? So liquidity, how much cash is in the business, is the one thing that every single business needs to work out. And it remains the same that unless you can ensure a future, unless you know, right? And it's not about the right here and now, it's the in 3, 6, in 12 months' time, if I sustain what I'm doing, so whether that's hibernating, in 12 months' time, once the business kicks off again, is it likely that I'm going to be able to recover? And it's a difficult question to ask, right? Because we don't know what we don't know still. We don't know what the habits are going to be. I imagine when the doors open, everybody will want to sort of get out and do all of the things they haven't been able to do. But for how long?
It's a very difficult one. I think the thing that everyone probably needs to get prepared for, and how much that's going to impact on businesses is probably going to be critical, is the technology part of it. And then the technology changes. The world is going to reopen, and when it reopens, the way that we used to do things is going to be so drastically different, and technology is going to have such a big part to play. So I would have thought that although they're not openly talking about it, but there is going to be vaccine passports, and there's going to be the apps which are probably mandatory. So if you go out the house, are you going to be allowed if you haven't got a passport? And other restaurants and bars and everyone going to be expected to monitor that and manage that. So there'll be a lot of those things that they'll probably put extra burdens on the businesses beyond what we knew in the past. So it's how do we adjust and get ready for things like that? Which operators are going to be capable of doing that? So there's going to be a whole lot of things that we're not aware of at this moment in time that they've got planned. But I feel that they are very busy behind the scenes on making some changes on if they are to open things up, what we're going to be expected to do. And I think it's going to be far beyond just having some sanitizer on your door, on your entrance, and have a bit of social distance.
Undoubtedly, I don't doubt that one little bit. Anyway, let me just very quickly share. Can you see this now?
Yeah.
So last year I created an article, and it was like, how do we get back to the future? But this is like 2.21. So this is the new world order, isn't it? This is like everybody's just living their lives on Zoom.
Yeah.
So COVID, for better or worse, and the things I want to pick out are things like, Jeff, this. Let me zoom in, because I'm just going to go across here. But this is an interesting figure here, right? So the impact, how has it impacted communities? So competition in network services, collaboration between companies, competition in retail, ease of finding skilled employees. Well, factors that registered the most positive shifts. So governments have responded for better to change than historically.
Mhm.
A lot more companies collaborating. And I appreciate this is a very generic and high level view, but I just wanted to share that. There's some good detail and statistics. But the key thing that I did want to share was, so these are the things that I've identified
Yeah.
through doing lots of research on
Mm.
positive and negative impact of COVID, right? So family time, more
Yeah.
people have been forced to spend time at home, which in
Yeah.
turn led to more of us doing, which is more of us doing things as a collective family that we would not
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah.
Passion economy, so the 1,000+% rise in digital economy has led to more people being able to set up a business based on their passion or interest as an alternative to mainstream jobs. Environment, so scientists from across the world have united behind the positive impact COVID has had on the environment. With less travel comes less pollution. With us all
Yeah.
breathing cleaner air,
What?
community, we all.
Well, cleaner air through your triple masks. Because I'm wearing 3
Oh,
masks tomorrow, because Joe Biden said so.
all right.
But
Well, President Trump suggested drinking some disinfectant. You didn't do that, did you? Anyway, community, we all came out together. Productivity, because we've shifted, people have become more productive. Hygiene, being clean and conscientious is no longer a nice to be, but has become an absolute necessary.
yeah.
But the big challenges, right, are these things like mental health, Jack. Don't know
Mm.
about you, but I'm constantly more exhausted than I've ever been.
Uh-huh. Well, mental health is very, very critical, and we all have to understand ourselves and understand what gives us peace in our minds and what gives us happiness in our minds. It's so important that we understand that, and we quickly should act against that. If there's something that you feel is going to make you mentally unhappy, you got to really tackle that really, really quickly, so you don't get yourself into a set way of doing things.
Oh, without a doubt. And routine and being positive and, sort of persevering and doing things regularly are all key. I mean, the other thing to recognize and appreciate is also that crime, traditional crime like burglary and theft may have seen a reduction. However, online fraud, domestic violence, and abuse, particularly in children and young people, have seen a massive rise. Uncertainty, the biggest challenge that the pandemic has illuminated is the level of uncertainty that exists in all aspects of life without knowing when. People are unable to plan for how or what.
Yeah.
Poverty, 14.5 million. That's more than 1 in 5 are classed as living in poverty.
Wow.
The economy, so 1 in 5 people are living in poverty, Jack, in the UK.
What, and is that? And Ammar, that's at this moment in time, and that's not even when things are going to really hit the.
Yeah.
Because just wait and see what happens in a couple of months. I mean,
without a doubt.
The furlough, once the day that stops, is the day that I feel that's when the true state of our economy will understand what that is on that day.
Undoubtedly. So
And
think about those things. The economy, whilst undoubtedly there have been some major winners within the UK's digital community, the overall impact of the pandemic has seen some of the biggest job losses ever experienced. Inequality, Jaff. So inequality. Women, Black and minority ethnic and disabled people have been impacted far more than others. Black people, Pakistani and Bangladeshi men are twice as likely to die than white people.
What, through COVID or just generally?
Well, through COVID.
Really?
Hopefully not generally, but yeah.
But why is that though, Ammar? Is that something to do with the genetic setup or what is it?
Well, I think so. but more women and black and minority ethnic people. So women and black and minority ethnic people have lost their jobs compared to others.
Mm.
And that women are being forced to look after kids, do a lot
Yeah.
more. So,
Without getting the sympathy from their employers, I guess.
yeah.
Is that become an issue?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Mm.
And then this was just some of the stuff that we done over the last year. So
What's Mr. Gates saying?
well, that was me and him.
What was he saying?
He was on an Economist webcast talking about the economy, and this was before the vaccines and things like that. He was like, "Get your vaccine, because I've paid for it."
Yeah, well, he wants to obviously. That's his baby, isn't it?
Yeah, he done that. He flipped it. So this is some of the stuff around plans, pivots, and positivity. All of the stuff that sort of happened. But the key thing now is these were the three things that I think are really important. It's having a plan, persevering, being patient, being positive. And we've talked about these things, you and I, regularly. Anyway, you can get this feature. You can see it all.
Well, Ammar, all I can say, it looks far more interesting than that Professor Whitty's bloody slides. So that was actually kept my attention, and it actually made sense. So well done to your good self.
Thank you very much.
I think I would much prefer to have you next to Boris as opposed to Mr. Whitty.
Well, look, he's doing a good job. He's doing what he's doing, and don't forget, Jalf, as a clinician, as a medical expert, as a doctor, at the end of the day, did he ever imagine in his life he would be stood up in front of the whole world as a spokesperson? He didn't sign up to that. Imagine in your job description as he was like going, "Oh, you're going to be the chief medical officer, or you're going to be the chief. Oh, by the way, every single day you're going to be on telly and you're going to have to explain things to people in such a way. He doesn't. You're going to be scrutinized in every single thing that you do.
Especially when he doesn't have a face for TV. Makes it more difficult for him, doesn't it?
Well, I think I'd rather see you. I'd rather see you than anybody else. And now I'm not joking aside, because you know what, Jack? You're the voice of reason. You're the voice of experience. You're the voice of care and compassion.
Well, I don't know. I would
say.
Disagree. Yeah, but if you're a voice of compassion, you don't lock down the country. That's not compassionate. So either way, look, these are different. You can interpret Professor Whitty in different ways. But either way, just going back to your slides and his slides, they didn't make sense. And your slides make sense. So well done.
Thank you very much. And we'll keep trying to make sense for everybody.
Yeah.
As we're coming up to the last minute of the show, because for some strange reason at Spice FM, I think the clock is set a minute early.
Just because Asians are late all the time, aren't they? So I'm just to trick them, right?
So because it's Spice FM and it's for the community, in the community, they have to set the clock a little bit earlier. So we're gonna hear the adverts very, very soon. But Jalf, look, we had great annual savings. There is a lot of support out there, and what is really important is people reach out and connect and use that support wherever, however they can.
Don't feel you're alone out there, because you're not.
Well, look, we're all in this storm, aren't we? We're in different boats, but actually, sometimes head to the lighthouse or make sure that you follow the light. And that's the most important thing. Seek out the light. You don't need to navigate this by yourself, whatever boat you're in, and reach out. Here at the SME Centre of Excellence, Asian Business Connections, everything that we do is to help you as an individual, as an organisation, and as our community. When Jalf and I set this up in 2009, we purposefully set it up as a not-for-profit community interest company. That says it all, Jeff. We were ahead of the curve. Think about it. Community interest company.
I bet you many people don't know what that stands for even today.
Yeah, it's a company that actually plows all of its efforts and energy into supporting people. First and foremost, it's not for profit, so it doesn't make money. You and I don't make any money from it, and we've purposefully dedicated as much time as we
World
can
Music
to
Radio
help it.
Station.
Mark,
98.8
That's us.
catch up
FM.
next
The new
week.
vaccine, which could be available
Good night,
in
goodbye
a
from
few
me.
weeks, has got the backing of England's chief medical officer. Professor Chris Whitty has tweeted to say, if approved, the Novavax jab will increase our future resilience against the